Live from Washington, D.C., I'm joined by Senator Marco Rubio. Good morning, Senator. Thanks for spending some time.
Good morning.
Let's start with tax reform.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Sure. The battle lines have been drawn when it comes to tax reform. And last night, Mitch McConnell said this go-round won't be like 1986. There was bipartisan cooperation. Any chance the Dems and Republicans could get along on this measure this go-round?
Well, we have to be prepared to do it without them, but we hope we can do it with them. I mean, the fundamental debate, I think, is going to be, how the tax cuts are allocated. I think there's general agreement that our business tax rate in America is too high, and that's discouraging job creation. I think the real fight will be on the personal taxes, and people don't realize, but people watching this program, if they have a small business, do, that a lot of small businesses in America are what they call pass-through companies. They're paying their taxes on their personal rates. When we're talking about lowering taxes on people, that often means a small business. The portion I'm most focused on, from my perspective, I support all those other things we just discussed, is the increase in the child tax credit. The cost of raising children has grown rapidly over the last 15, 20 years. The tax credit has been flat. People watching that are raising kids, getting ready to go back to school, they know how expensive it is to raise kids, but the tax credit hasn't changed. So we're working hard with the White House and hopefully with Democrats to increase the child tax credit for working families.
From taxes to health care, the president refuses to let the issue of repeal and reform of the ACA go, even though Congress seems to be moving on. Can he sway Congress to revisit the issue?
I hope so. I mean, I haven't moved on. I think procedurally there's some other issues we have to take care of, and we need to focus on those things like the debt limit. This week we're working on an FDA bill that has in it my law that helps with pediatric cancer research and things of that nature. But ultimately I was elected in 2010 and re-elected on a very specific pledge, and that is to repeal and to replace Obamacare. It's a pledge I intend to do everything I can to keep, and that includes, repealing it and replacing it with something that's better for Florida.
A lot of veterans call this area home. The Senate just passed a bill providing the Veterans Choice Program with emergency funding. There was a budget shortfall. But some critics say that the move that the Senate made is a double-edged sword because they say it's too costly, is more about political games than veterans' benefits. Your take?
Well, the choice program needs to continue to be reformed, and as we figure out things that are happening that aren't working well, we got to go back and fix those. But we can't let it die. We certainly can't let it go away. A choice program has been critical. Northeast Florida is home to a lot of veterans, and you shouldn't have to wait in line. If the local VA can't see you, if there's a local hospital that has a better option for you, you should be able to do it. And so we're not going to let the choice program go away, and so that's why you saw strong bipartisan support. It wasn't controversial. Does the program need to be improved? Absolutely. The choice program as it's currently structured is not perfect, and it needs to be improved, but making it collapse was not the answer, and so that's why it's important to do what we did yesterday.
And finally, let me ask you about Eureka Gardens. In the wake of the problems there, you proposed legal changes for HUD. Where do those changes stand, and do you think that slumlords like Richard Hamlet should be facing charges, and are you fighting for that?
Well, a lot of the reforms we made are already in the law. They're being implemented. We've got leadership at HUD now with Dr. Carson, who is not just interested in taking care of slumlords, but actually improving HUD housing in a way that's positive. And the Eureka Garden story, I hope, will end up being a good news story. They have a new owner that's coming in. They've already made substantial changes. We were down there just a few months ago with Dr. Carson. We stay in touch with the tenants. And like Eureka Gardens, there are other programs or projects across the state that need to be improved as well. And on the issue of criminal charges, look, there's an investigation. I'll leave that to law enforcement. It's not for me here to sit here and define whether someone should go to jail or not. Do I believe that there's criminality involved? I think there's strong evidence of that. But ultimately, our goal was not to punish anyone. Our goal was to provide a better standard of living for the people trapped in these slums. And I think we've made real progress in that direction, thanks to coverage like from stations such as yours, local leadership, and of course what we were able to do here in D.C.
Senator Rubio, always a pleasure. Look forward to chatting with you again and visiting with you next time you're in town. Have a great day.